every January the same thing happens. People hear that benefits went up, they wait for the deposit, and then the number that lands looks almost exactly like last year. Nobody took your raise. It was spent before it reached you, and today I am going to show you exactly where, with the actual arithmetic, at 4 different benefit levels, so you can find your own line. The number doing the spending this year is $202.90 a month. That is the standard Medicare Part B premium, and it comes out of your benefit before the deposit is made. So the question is not what percentage the raise was. The question is, what is left after that? And for some people, the honest answer is almost nothing. Stay with me, because there is a fix for a specific group of people watching, and it is worth about $2,400 a year. I am Susan Mitchell, and this is Retirement Lab, where we run the numbers instead of talking about them. Nothing here is advice for your situation, and your own figures will differ. What I can do is show you the arithmetic clearly enough that you can redo it with your own numbers in about 5 minutes. Let us set up the calculation, because it is simpler than people expect and the order matters. 3 pieces. Your benefit before the raise. The cost of living adjustment applied to it. And the Medicare Part B premium, which comes out of the benefit before the money is deposited. The adjustment that applied for this year was 2.8%. So step 1, multiply the old benefit by 1.028. Step 2, subtract the Part B premium. What remains is what actually shows up in your account. Now let me run 4 people through it, and I want you to listen for the one that sounds most like you. Person 1 has a benefit of $1,600 a month. The 2.8% raise adds $44.80. So the gross benefit goes to $1,644.80. Now subtract $202.90 for Part B, and the deposit is $1,441.90. Person 2 has a benefit of $2,200. The raise adds $61.60, taking the gross to $2,261.60. Subtract Part B, and the deposit is $2,058.70. Person 3 has a benefit of $2,800. The raise adds $78.40, so the gross is $2,878.40. After Part B, the deposit is $2,675.50. Person 4 has a benefit of $3,400. The raise adds $95.20, taking the gross to $3,495.20. After Part B, the deposit is $3,292.30. Now here is what I want you to notice, because it is the whole point of running 4 lines instead of 1. The raise is a percentage, so it scales with your benefit. $44 for the first person, $95 for the fourth. But the Part B premium is a flat dollar amount. It is the same $202.90 whether your benefit is $1,600 or $3,400. A flat cost against a percentage raise always hits the smaller benefit harder. That is not a policy opinion, it is just what flat costs do. And that is why 2 people can hear the same announcement, get the same percentage, and have completely different feelings in January. Now let me show you the version of this calculation that actually causes the confusion, because so far I have been comparing gross to gross. If you were already on Medicare last year, your Part B premium was already coming out. So the change you experience is not the raise minus the whole premium. It is the raise minus the INC raise in the premium. That is the piece almost nobody explains. Whether your deposit goes up a lot, a little, or not at all, depends on how much the premium moved compared to how much your raise was worth in dollars. For our first person, a $44 raise is a modest cushion. If the premium rose by a meaningful amount, most of that cushion is absorbed. For our fourth person, a $95 raise absorbs the same premium increase and still leaves something visible. Same percentage, same premium. 2 different experiences of January. That is the mechanism, and once you see it, you can stop wondering whether you misread something. Let me put one more household through this, because a couple is not simply two of the numbers I just gave you. Take a married couple where one spouse has a benefit of $2,400 and the other has $1,100, which is a very common shape when one person worked continuously and the other stepped in and out for family reasons. Their combined gross benefit is $3,500. The 2.8% raise adds $98 to the household, split as $67.20 for the larger benefit and $30.80 for the smaller one. But here is the part people forget. Once both spouses are on Medicare, the Part B premium comes out twice. Two premiums of $202.90 is $405.80, leaving the household every month. So the household raise of $98 is landing on top of a fixed medical cost that is more than 4 times its size. And when the premium rises, it rises for both of them at once. That is the arithmetic behind something I hear constantly from couples. It feels like the raise never arrives. It arrives. It is simply small relative to a cost that is doubled in their household. The practical consequence is worth stating plainly. For a couple, checking eligibility for help with the Part B premium is worth double what it is worth to a single person, because 2 premiums are at stake. If a household qualifies, we are talking about roughly $4,800 a year staying in the account instead of leaving it. I want to add one honest note here about next year, because people are already asking. The adjustment for 2027 gets announced in the middle of October. I am not going to give you a forecast, and I would treat anybody handing you a confident number right now with some caution, because those projections move every month until the announcement. What I will tell you is the useful part. When that number comes out, do this same calculation with it before you form an expectation. Multiply, subtract, and look at the net. You will be one of very few people who knows what their January actually looks like in October. Now, the fix I promised, and it is for a specific group of people. There are programs run through your state Medicaid office that pay the Medicare Part B premium for people under certain income limits. They are called Medicare Savings Programs, and there are 3 tiers. The most generous one also covers deductibles and coinsurance. All 3 of them pay the Part B premium. Look at the arithmetic from the other direction and you see why this matters so much. If a program pays your Part B premium, then that $202.90 stops coming out of your benefit. That is not a discount. That is the entire amount back in your deposit every month. $2,400 and change over a year. Now the numbers to check yourself against. These are the federal reference figures for this year, and I'm going to give you them. But I want to give you the warning first, because it matters more than the numbers do. Several states use higher income limits than these, and a handful of states have eliminated the asset test entirely. So do not disqualify yourself at your kitchen table. These figures tell you whether it is worth a phone call. They do not tell you the answer. With that said, for a single person, the first tier sits around $1,350 a month of income, the second around $1,616, and the third around $1,816. For a couple, the first tier is around $1,824, and the second around $2,184. There is generally an asset test as well, in the neighborhood of $9,950 for an individual, and about $14,900 for a couple, and your home and your car typically are not counted. If you are anywhere near those lines, the call goes to your state Medicaid office, and the free counseling for Medicare questions in every state comes from the program called SHIP, which does not sell anything. Let me give you 3 things to do with all this, in order of how much they are worth. First, if your income is anywhere near those reference figures, make the phone call. Nothing else in this video is worth as much per minute of effort. Second, do the calculation for yourself now, rather than in January. Take your current benefit, multiply by 1 plus whatever the adjustment turns out to be, subtract the Part B premium for that year, and write the net on a piece of paper. Expectations set correctly is worth a surprising amount of peace. Third, if you are further up the income scale, know that there is a surcharge called IRMAA that applies above certain income levels and that it looks back at your income from 2 years earlier. I am not going to quote you thresholds today because I could not verify this year's set to the standard I hold myself to, so treat this as a flag to look into rather than a number to plan around. If you are doing a Roth conversion or taking a large distribution, that look back is the reason to check before you act, not after. Before I wrap up, let me answer the 3 questions that always arrive on this topic, because they are all about the same confusion. First, why does my neighbor pay a different Medicare premium than I do? 2 reasons. If your income is above certain levels, pay the standard premium plus a surcharge, which is that Medicare surcharge I mentioned a moment ago. And if a state program is paying on somebody's behalf, they may pay nothing at all. So the same program, the same year, can produce 3 different numbers on 3 different streets. Second, is there any way to have the premium not come out of my benefit? For most people, it comes out automatically, and honestly, that is the convenient arrangement. The question worth asking is not how to change the plumbing, it is whether you qualify for a program that pays it. Third, if I delay claiming my benefit, does the premium go away? No. Medicare and Social Security are separate systems with separate enrollment. If you are on Medicare and not yet collecting a benefit, you get billed directly instead of having it withheld. The money still leaves. It just leaves from a different pocket, and that surprises people who assumed delaying meant avoiding. I mentioned that last one because it is the version of this question where people accidentally make an expensive decision, delaying an enrollment they needed in order to dodge a cost that was never actually avoidable. One more thing, and then I will let you go. None of this means the cost of living adjustment is worthless. It is doing exactly what it was designed to do, which is keep the nominal benefit from falling behind. What it does not do, and never claim to do, is keep pace with the specific costs that rise fastest for older households, and medical premiums are near the top of that list. So the healthy way to hold it is this. The adjustment protects the floor. It does not build a cushion. If you need a cushion, it has to come from somewhere else, and that is what most of the other videos on this channel are about. Here is my question for you in the comments. When you looked at your January deposit this year, was it higher, about the same, or lower than the month before? Just those 3 answers. I would genuinely like to see the distribution, because I suspect it is far more mixed than the headline percentage suggests, and seeing it laid out will tell a lot of people they are not imagining things. If this was useful, subscribe. We run the numbers here every week, one decision at a time, with the arithmetic on screen. I am Susan. Multiply, then subtract. In that order,